Alrighty. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Andres Cuervo, and we wanted to present y'all with the Finance Manager app that I did alongside with my companion, Gregory Vaughn.
Hello.
All right, so let's start with the user problem. So what is the problem that we're trying to tackle? Uh, People or users struggle with tracking personal finances. It's just something that you do in your day-to-day, and it's really hard to manage your finances when there's so much going on. You're paying
Especially without an Excel spreadsheet.
Exactly. You're paying debts. You're also getting paid. You also have subscriptions. It's really hard to keep up with the whole thing. And that is the purpose of this application. The application has several inputs. For example, like a user will log in income, expenses. They'll be able to log in saving goals and transaction data, such as categories. And they'll be also able to enter optional notes. The application will output visual reports. We'll be able to see those transactions that you enter live and visually in graphs.
As a
You'll
bar graph.
exactly. You'll be able to see categorized expenses, and you'll also be able to see your goal tracking for savings. The outcome of this application and the goal that we're trying to have or fulfill is to raise financial awareness, avoid overspending, and overall improve your experience as a user or as a person when it comes to managing your finances.
Hmm.
Now let's go ahead and move on to design overview and key features. So the design approach that we followed is kind of like a modular design. We use Dart, and the purpose, or like not the purpose, but the way that we did this is that each window will be separate. So there'll be a window, for example, for dashboard, there'll be a window for income and expense tracker, there'll be a window for reports, and among others. The key features for the application includes an income and expense logging screen, saving goals that provide progress tracking, category tracking, interactive reports, and a dashboard that offers easy access to all windows. Moving on to the architecture. Um, the way that the application is coded or built, it has two main files, is main.dart, and main.dart will contain everything that comes out with running code, classes. It handles all windows and navigation inside of the application. Then we have
Yep.
our database helper.dart, and this acts as the main point of contact for everything that has to do with data um, reconciling in the application. It
Hmm.
stores all of it, and then when it's needed, it'll send it back, for example, to reports window, so you can see it visually. Let's move on. And I wanted to show you this UML class diagram. This UML class diagram, it shows how the database helper works and how it's structured. You can see that it acts as a single source of truth for all financial data, including all transactions and savings goals. It ensures a consistent access, updates, and tracking across all screens, both for transactions and for savings goals. That way you can see them, for example, in reports. Moving on to UA design.
All right. So as you can see here, this is what our app will look like in real time once you've activated it. On our far left, you can see our dashboard, our hub for all of our different features. We've got an image, a GIF for each individual feature. The first of which is our income expense tracker. As you can see, we've also color coded the backgrounds in order for people to tell what it is at a glance to make sure they haven't hit the wrong screen. And the way it would work is you'd first type in the amount that you've either spent or earned. Then you would categorize it as either an income or expense. And then you would further categorize it as what type of income or expense. As you can see at the bottom right, we've got dividends, work, business, crypto, transfer, and others for income. But we also have just as many for expenses as well. And once you categorized it, you can add a personal note in case you need to remember something about that particular transaction. And you can add a date in case the date is relevant of that transaction. And as you can see on the screen, once you've done, it'll have created a log as well as totaling up any income and expenses you do in that run of our app. Our next feature will be the category breakdown. This just sort of allows you to see it's a better version of our total of what we just saw previously with the total income and expenses. It totally breaks it down based on what category everything's been in. For example, at the bottom, you can see that gotten $300 through their business, but if there was more than one income category, you'd see that completely broken down in this UI. The report screen is a more visual representation of that. For example, the bar graph, as mentioned before, you can see that same person has made $300 and as a bar graph, and it also shows you the savings goal progress, which is our next feature. And the savings goal is what allows someone to budget a lot easier. It lets them add a whatever name for that goal that was, in case you were saving for a new bike or something. It allows you to add the amount you're saving towards, and it'll allow you to pick the date that this goal should be hopefully met by. And our application, what it'll do is it'll keep track of how many expenses you made, and the more you spend, the closer you are to not being able to meet that goal. So this feature will allow you to hopefully meet that goal in a proper manner. Next slide. Here's some examples of our code, some of our background code. As you can see in the top right, we've got a section showcasing that when a user adds an expense, our app will immediately update the transaction list and reflect it in any reports made. And on the bottom left, you can see that we use our set state and proper stateful widget tools to make sure our UI updates right away and just make sure it's as responsive as possible. As for our development process, we made sure we use an agile development process. As soon as we thought of a feature, we went ahead and implemented it. We tested them right away. Any bugs we found got fixed, and we just made sure it got done nice and quick. We used Android Studio emulator in real time, using hot reloads to make sure that anytime we made a change, we just hit the reload, and if it screwed up our program, we were right on top of that. And as for our test data, we made sure that we were entering data as a normal user would, not as an admin, so that any weird edge cases that came up that a normal user would do, we came up with it right away as well.
Alrighty, let's move on to summary and demo. So as a
Mhm.
summary, of course, the app provides an all-in solution for managing personal finances, as I said at the beginning. Some of the features, again, that it provides: tracks incomes and expenses, supports saving goals and plannings, provides a visual report and representation of what you're spending on, and also uses local storage for data built with Dart. Demo, let's go ahead and walk to the demo in which we will walk you through our application.
Yep. All right. So here we are at our demo. As you can see, we've got our animated images and our dashboard. So the first thing most users are going to come across is the income and expense tracker. So in a hypothetical situation, let's say little Johnny went ahead and mowed his uncle's lawn, and his uncle gave him $20. So you go ahead and type in 20 in your amount. And of course, since you're getting money and not spending money, this would be an income. And as a further categorization, little Johnny's been at work. You would categorize this as a work income. And if you wanted to make a note, let's say his uncle said he'd give him an extra $4 later. So Miss Little Johnny wants to make a note of that and make sure he gets that $4. So there you are. If you add a date, let's say Johnny forgot that he worked yesterday and just remembered to add it to our application today. So you would pick yesterday, and then as soon as you're done with that, you just hit the add transaction, and boom, new log created, and you've got everything nice and updated. So let's say little Johnny went to the store right afterwards and he wanted to get some milk. And let's say he spent a good $6 on that milk. So first you type in 6. This is, of course, an expense. You're not making money by buying milk. And this was a grocery shopping, of course. And let's just say our note is that he's already bought milk. He doesn't need to buy milk again for another week. Yep. Um, if little Johnny wanted, he could add today's date, but he doesn't really have to do it. So he can just also hit add transaction. And as you can see, not only has a new log been created, but the total track has been kept up. We got our balance of $14 even right now. So that's our first and most important feature, the income and expense tracker. The next one will of course be the savings goal. Little Johnny's got to make a budget. So Johnny's not saving towards anything yet, but as you can see, let's say little Johnny needs a new bike. So of course he wants to name that bike or something. And let's say a new bike will cost a good, I don't know, $180. He knows a guy. And let's say he wants to be able to save $180 by 2 weeks from now. Mm. All right. So we're gonna add that. Okie doke. And then let's say he hasn't saved anything yet. Of course, he just made it. But let's just say, as he's been working over the week, let's say he's made ourselves a total of $60 in profit. So he's been able to squirrel all that away towards his new bike. And as soon as we add that in, you can see it's nice and updated. We got a percentage of the way there, and we can see exactly how much left he has. All right. And as for our next feature, of course, we want to be able to view what we've been doing. So now we're going to want to go view some reports.
Alrighty, let's talk about these reports, shall we? So the financial reports window will show you the income versus expenses, and this will add on all of the income against all of the expenses that you've made so far. As Gregory said, little Johnny earned 20 bucks when he was on his uncle's lawn. So here we have 20, and then he spent around $6 in milk, so the expenses run up to $6. The spending by category shows you how much has he spent by the specific category. Right now, it shows a pie chart. All of it for grocery is $6. But if there were more categories, it would show you more slices of the cake. I'll demonstrate in just a second. The savings goal progress, it shows you what Gregory has said. He wanted to buy a new bike. It shows you the progress. He has $60 saved at 180 at a 33% completion rate. Let's go ahead and add one more category just to be sure that you see how it works. I'm gonna add another 40 bucks, and then that is gonna be an expense for gas. He get a car, and add this transaction. It adds up here. Now it's negative balance. Let's go ahead and see how this will look. As we see, it'll show gas now is $40 as opposed to groceries, which is only $6. Now the expenses have changed. Now it has more expenses. Now let's go ahead and show you the category tracking, which is our last feature. The category tracking pulls information from the income and expenses window, and you'll be able to see it categorized in this view. You'll be able to filter out. You can either put this week, this month, this year, or all time, and it'll include the expenses by category, that much you can see, how much you spent on gas, groceries, and then it'll also include the income by category. As you can see here, you can see work. And that concludes the demo for our application. Let's go back to our presentation. And the last bit that we need to show is thank you so much for seeing our presentation. We hope you liked it. And if you want to learn more, feel free to visit our link tree, which includes all of our information as well as our GitHub repo information.
Yep, we very much appreciate your time and attention, and we hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.